My name is Emma Parker. I was 24 years old when I got married. Everyone around me looked happy. The music was loud. People were dancing. My family was smiling, and I was smiling too. But inside, I was terrified. It was not because I didn't love my husband. His name was Daniel. He was kind, respectful, gentle. Everyone said I was lucky. Maybe I was, but this was my first night after marriage. I did not know what to expect. I sat quietly in our hotel room, still wearing part of my wedding dress. My hands were shaking. I looked at myself in the mirror and I whispered, "Emma, your whole life is about to change." A few minutes later, the door opened. Daniel walked inside. He looked tired, but he was smiling. I quickly looked down. I was too nervous to look into his eyes. He sat beside me. Neither of us spoke. The room felt strangely quiet. Then he suddenly asked, "Emma, are you afraid?" I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. He looked at me for a few seconds. Then he stood up and walked toward the window. His face changed. His smile disappeared. And then he said something that made my heart stop. "Emma, there is something I need to tell you before we begin our life together." My stomach tightened. I could feel my heartbeat getting faster because I knew whatever he was about to say was going to change everything. Daniel stood near the window. His back was facing me. For a moment, he looked like a completely different person. Then he turned around, and I noticed tears in his eyes. I had never seen a man cry before, especially on his wedding night. My fear became even bigger. I slowly asked, "Daniel, what's wrong?" He looked down. Then he said, "I almost canceled this marriage." My entire body froze. I couldn't believe what I had heard. My mind started racing. Did he not love me? Did he regret marrying me? Was there another woman? 1,000 painful thoughts entered my head. I felt my eyes filling with tears. "Why?" I asked. "Why would you say that?" Daniel sat down again. He looked directly at me and finally told me the truth. My father was dying. I stared at him, confused, heartbroken, silent. He continued, "3 months ago, the doctor said he had very little time left. He wanted to see me married before he died. I wanted to make him happy, so I agreed to marry quickly." My heart sank. I felt like the room was spinning. Then I asked the question I was afraid to ask. "So, did you marry me only because of your father?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. He simply looked at me, and that silence hurt more than any words. Then he slowly opened his mouth, and what he said next made tears roll down my face. Daniel reached for my hand. His hand was trembling, just like mine. Then he said, "No, Emma, I married you because I love you. But I was afraid. I was afraid you would think I married you only for my father's last wish. I was afraid you would never trust me." Tears filled his eyes again. My father gave me one final piece of advice. He smiled sadly, then repeated his father's words. "Son, marry the woman who gives your heart peace, not the woman who impresses the world. And Emma gives me peace." At that moment, something inside me broke, not from pain, but from relief. All my fear disappeared. All my nervous thoughts vanished. I realized that this man sitting beside me was just as scared as I was. We were both afraid, both uncertain, both beginning a new life together. That night, we talked for hours about our dreams, our childhood memories, our fears, our future. And somewhere between those conversations, two strangers became true partners. A few weeks later, Daniel's father passed away. But before he died, he held my hand and whispered, "Thank you for loving my son." I still remember those words today. Years have passed since that night. Daniel and I now have two beautiful children. And every time life becomes difficult, we remember that first night, the night that began with fear but ended with trust. If there is one lesson I learned, it is this. Love is not about perfection. Love is not about having all the answers. Love is about honesty, trust, and choosing each other even when you are afraid. Because sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin with two frightened hearts learning how to be brave together. And that was the story of my first night after marriage. Thank you for listening.